Coming to you live from our Auckland Park studios. Welcome to On Point. I'm Nompumelelo Siziba. As the country moves from COVID-19 into a new normal scenario, planning becomes more relevant than ever. Indlulamithi, a high-profile organization in research and scenario planning, is hosting their Indlulamithi Day, where they release their annual projections of the country's future across several sectors. Let's cross live to that, where Dr Pali Lehohla, the former Statistician General, is speaking.
The private sector pillar looks at potential contributions of provincial growth, or rather the private sector pillar looks at, I've run ahead of myself here. The private sector pillar captures such as initiatives as PPGI, PIC, and the manufacturing sector. The next pillar that we look at is the provincial growth and development plans from the provinces. Under this pillar, we look at the potential contributions of provincial growth and development plans themselves. And these provincial growth development plans are shown behind there. The question then is, what are the conclusions that we arrive at in relation to these interventions, the six-pillar bridge? The conclusions that we come to is that this will reduce the negative impact of COVID-19 and growth, the impact on employment as well as on poverty. It shortens the recovery period, produces average annual growth of 6%, over 6%, creates 8.2 million jobs over the next decade, reduces the unemployment rate by 2/3 to 15% by 2030, lowers the poverty rate by 40% to 24%, and reduces the income inequality by 11 percentage points. What does this mean for inclusive growth? The six-pillar policy bridge produces an Naila-walk path with inclusive growth. The six-pillar policy bridge gives us a significant impact on poverty, on working class, and on the private sector. On the poor, national poverty rate declines by about 45%, from 43% to 24% between 2020 to 2030. Poverty levels decline during the next decade by 1/3, from 23%, from 23.4 million to 15.7 million. Significant improvements in the service delivery of and land reform, housing, economic infrastructure across the country occurs in this period. What happens to the working class? For the working class, unemployment rate declines, 8.2 million jobs are created, national income inequality is reduced by 11 percentage points, and significant improvements are made in the service delivery environment. What happens then to the business class? The real GDP more than doubles in this period, from the 3.5 to 6.5 trillion. Average profit remains at 16%. Improvements in the economy and overall well-being of the population improved average labor productivity. And government debt to GDP ratio reduces. Average investment GDP increases to 28%, and there is an increase in social cohesion. What then are the key success factors? Because these things cannot happen on their own. The key success factors for the Naila-walk scenario is that we should secure model-based tools for planning, monitoring, and evaluation. We need to train the public service in the use of these models so that they can consult on them for their policy design, for planning and implementation. We need to get the executive to use the tools as the eye of the needle and forward-looking evidence for successful planning and implementation. We need to get the public and the legislature to apply these tools for oversight on delivery by the executive. And finally, if it is about a different post-COVID-19 era, we need to start now. The information has been compiled with the assistance, great assistance from ADRS. Thank you.
All right, that was Pali Lehohla. He's one of the committee members from Indlulamithi, just giving his future scenario perspective on what may happen with the South African economy post-COVID. And so we proceed. The future of